Most welcome to the next video in our series about Black's exchange sacrifice on Charlie 3 in the Sicilian defense. And if you would need to read the moves of the game or timestamps of the video, please open the description to this video and you will find it all there in written form. So, here we go. We put starting mark now. The first timestamp will follow now, because we are following a classic, already classic game, I would say, between Movsesian, very strong grandmaster, super grandmaster 2668 at the time, versus Garry Kasparov, probably no need for any presentation, 2851. And we are in Sarajevo, year 2000. And this is an example that often is used for explaining this more long-term strategical nature of the sacrifice on Charlie 3. But we will see what it means in practice. Movsesian is white and sets off with echo 4. Pawn to echo 4. Of course, we are going to have an exchange sack in the Sicilian defense. Black goes on with Charlie 5. Charlie 5, that is, Kasparov broadened his repertoire when he grew older, but I would say that the Sicilian defense was his characteristic, together actually with the King's Indian defense against David 4 or Delta 4. Then later on he even showed that he mastered playing 1 echo 5 against echo 4, even the Caro-Kann with Charlie 6, and I think it was mostly these lines he used, but different variations in the Sicilian, I think, were his favorites. He also played the dragon variation of the Sicilian, Knight of Scheveningen, so with a fantastic deep knowledge. Okay, white plays Knight to Foxtrot 3, Knight to Foxtrot 3, and black plays Pawn to Delta 6, Pawn to Delta 6. White goes for the open Sicilian. That means that he plays Pawn to Delta 4, Pawn to Delta 4. Black captures, Charlie takes Delta 4, Charlie takes Delta 4. And white captures with a knight, knight takes Delta 4, knight takes Delta 4. And black goes on with knight, Foxtrot 6, knight to Foxtrot 6. Now the white pawn on echo 4 is attacked, so white plays knight to Charlie 3, knight to Charlie 3. And we are at crossroads. Here, as I mentioned in earlier videos, Golf 6 would lead to the dragon, Echo 6 to the Scheveningen, Knight Charlie 6 to the classical Sicilian, but even Bishop Delta 7 is sometimes used at higher level today. But Alpha 6 is played, and then we are in the Najdorf variation, maybe the best variation for black. Here we have seen one game where white played Bishop to Echo 2, that was Hollestack Magnusson. We also encountered Bishop Charlie 4 in Ermenkov against Portish, if I recall the names correctly. or it for sure was the black player was playing black. But here we go for another line. See, white plays bishop to echo 3. Time to make a timestamp. Bishop to echo 3. And this variation was not so popular, but I started to play the Najdorf in the, what was I say? Maybe 1984 or something. I started to try to play Najdorf sometimes. But at that time, a wave of English young players or players from the UK started to shape chess theory in many ways. So what we see here is the so-called English attack. We will see what that means in the following moves. Bishop echo 3 was played, and black plays pawn to echo 6. Pawn to echo 6. Kasparov most often played this move, which actually leads to a Scheveningen variation. The Scheveningen variation. If black, like for example, Bobby Fischer used to play pawn to echo 5 mostly, then we reach more proper Najdorf, because the idea with alpha 6 is to push echo 5 without allowing white to give a check with bishop to bravo 5. But okay, echo 6, I haven't played both moves, although I am more fan of echo 5, but they are both perfectly fine. White now plays foxtrot 3, pawn to foxtrot 3. And here we see what is the start of the English attack. We could have started with foxtrot 3 instead of bishop echo 3. And then we could have reached this position by transposition. White's idea is quite, especially at that time, was quite straightforward. White aimed at playing queen delta 2, castles queenside, and then launch a pawn storm on the king side by golf 4, hotel 4, hotel 5, golf 5, and so on. And this led to very double-edged play. Black normally launched an attack on the queen side with bravo 5, bishop bravo 7, placing a rook on Charlie 8, maneuvering the knights maybe from bravo 8, delta 7, bravo 6, trying to launch a king's attack as well, but as white castles queenside, that will happen on the queen side. So very double-edged games. Nowadays, however, black often takes some precautions, plays some prophylactic moves. In this position that we have right now, in modern theory, we wouldn't be surprised if we saw black playing hotel 5, making it more difficult for white to play golf 4. So the handling of the positions have become more sophisticated since the beginning of the 1980s. After foxtrot 3, black played pawn to bravo 5, pawn to bravo 5. And this pawn often is pushed forward to bravo 4, trying to dislodge the knight from Charlie 3, thereby making it easier for black to also push delta 5. So bravo 4 and delta 5 are typical maneuvers or pawn pushes that blacks like to play in order to open files and give more scopes for the black bishops, especially when the white king is on Charlie 1. We can see though that the white echo 4 pawn is nicely protected by Foxtrot 3. So often Bravo 5 threatens Bravo 4, and when the white knight moves from Charlie 3, black can take capture on echo 4. But that is not so often the case in the English attack. White plays queen to delta 2. Queen to delta 2. This follows plan. We could also have played Gol4 first, but this line sometimes transposes. Queen to delta 2. Black played knight Bravo to delta 7. Knight Bravo to delta 7. And here we see that the knight can further on jump to echo 5, and then later on into land on Charlie 4. Usually, though, first, before you jump to Charlie 4, you want to put a rook or a queen on the Charlie 5. It is generally strategically better for black to be able to recapture with a heavy piece, the queen or the rook, if there will be an exchange on Charlie 4. If the knight goes to echo 5, for example, then black might play rook Charlie 8, and then falls knight Charlie 4, bishop takes Charlie 4, and rook takes Charlie 4. If black instead captures with the Bravo pawn, it gets more difficult for black to efficiently use his half-open files on the queen side. You rather have a half-open Charlie 5 file to play on with your heavy pieces than the Bravo file. That would be the case after if you played Bravo takes Charlie 4. So yeah, okay. This is a little bit long-term strategical thinking in those Sicilian lines in general, so we shouldn't delve too deep into it. But when you sit there at the game and have to choose, should I take with the Bravo takes Charlie 4 or Rook takes Charlie 4, it is very difficult to understand it when you see the position for the first time. But yeah, hopefully such comment will make it easier for you when you get to those positions in your games. Okay, white played Castle's queen side. Castle's queen side. Yeah, Castle's queen side is the normal move. And black plays bishop to Bravo 7. Also very much what we expect. Bishop to Bravo 7. White now goes on, grabbing space, Golf4, playing pawn to Golf4. And this is what black sometimes nowadays stops by early playing Hotel 5 himself. But now, Golf4, we are more classical territory of this variation, already 24 years ago. Now black plays knight to Bravo 6. Knight to Bravo 6. This is a line that I myself employed in the early 1990s, I recall. The idea is that the knight evacuates delta 7, goes to Bravo 6, from where it can in the future jump to Charlie 4. And at the same time, the knight evacuates delta 7, giving free space there, because if white pushes Golf5, for example, the knight on Foxtrot 6 often wants to go back to delta 7, thereby also make it possible for black to go with that knight to echo 5, so that you have two knights that can jump in on Charlie 4. Keep in mind, though, if you are white, keep in mind that it is not a good idea for black to play knight hotel 5 if you push golf 5 in the wrong position, because a knight can also stand on hotel 5 and in this way make it more difficult for white to push the hotel form up the board. Okay, knight to bravo 6. White plays queen to foxtrot 2, queen to foxtrot 2. And here we see what I touched upon a little bit also, that the knight on bravo 6 is a bit loose now. White threatens to play knight takes echo 6 with a discovery attack on bravo 6 with the bishop, because the queen is also supporting that attack. But this is foreseen by black. Of course, we have to do with Garry Kasparov. Knight foxtrot to delta 7. Knight foxtrot to delta 7. So black then foresees that the knight anyway have to go there, and now protects the knight on bravo 6. Moves that we then would expect would be, for example, rook Charlie 8, and even moves like bravo 4 could come in, could be considered in many types of positions. White plays king bravo 1, king to bravo 1. King to bravo 1 is a prophylactic move. It's a good move. In these lines, often white tries to play some prophylactic moves before continuing with the attack. When the king is on bravo 1, we can sometimes see that white plays knight from Charlie to echo 2 and going down to Charlie 1, and thereby the knight protects alpha 2, for example. So sometimes white can do some defensive moves, often prophylactic, before continuing with the attack when black's counterattack is already repelled. Black plays rook to Charlie 8, as we expected. Rook to Charlie 8. And white plays bishop delta 3. Bishop delta 3. Another timestamp is required, because this position after bishop delta 3 we come to a very interesting position. Here black has quite many options. Bishop echo 7 is a natural move, of course, but what would you expect of this video, as we have this series about the exchange sacrifice from the black perspective in the Sicilian defense, if black wouldn't play rook takes Charlie 3. Rook takes Charlie 3, which is the best move also according to the modern chess engines. Rook takes Charlie 3 and bravo takes Charlie 3. This time, we have seen this sacrifice before. Then white had the king on the king side, but had also pushed foxtrot 4 and foxtrot 5, thereby leaving the echo 4 pawn very vulnerable. In the position we got here, echo 4 is well protected. So this exchange sacrifice is of another nature than the ones we saw in Hollestad Magnusson and Ermenkov Portish. Black doesn't play the sacrifice in order to regain a pawn immediately, something that would more or less equalize in material. A pawn for an exchange is often mostly similar to equality. Two pawns for an exchange, rather, I would say, depending on position, of course, would be a material advantage, if anything, for the side with two pawns. But of course, everything has to be judged out of the context. What has black then gained by this exchange sacrifice? First of all, white's king position has been seriously weakened. The pawns are scattered. We have a doubled Charlie pawn and an isolated alpha pawn. And we can see that when the pawn moves from Bravo 2 to Charlie 3, what has happened, besides that white recaptured the rook, that if now the pawn cannot go to Bravo 3, for example. Bravo 3 can sometimes be a good move if you want to stop knight from jumping into Charlie 4 or Alpha 4. With these double Charlie pawns, black's chances to establish his pieces on the queen side increases. So one can say that often when you get a double pawn, the big problem is that you get kind of hole in your position in front of the double pawn. Here, Charlie 4, you have no pawns that can take control over that square, whereas black can pile up with knight Echo5 and then start to jump in on the Charlie 4. And from there, the pieces are very near the white monarch. So, here one can play different moves. They are about the same strength, some of them. Kasparov played Queen to Charlie 7. Queen to Charlie 7. Stockfish 16.1 also very much likes a cool move, playing Delta 5, more directly opening the position, and often with the idea of putting the bishop from Foxtrot 8 to Alpha 3. And I very much like that thinking. It is a brave way of playing, because normally when you sacrifice the exchange, you don't want to open many files too early, because then the rooks suddenly can show their power, because they need open files and ranks. So therefore, as a human, you often wait with those pawn pushes. We will see that Kasparov is well aware of the idea of Delta 5, but he waits a little bit until he has completed development. But with better understanding of the position, which we can get because we have the computer analysis to learn from, then I would say that more players nowadays would consider pushing Delta 5. Also, knight to Alpha 4 would come into consideration, maybe even bishop to Echo 7. Okay, but Queen to Charlie 7 was played. White goes on by knight Echo 2, knight to Echo 2, protecting the pawn on Charlie 3. Black plays bishop to Echo 7, bishop to Echo 7, and I think still that Delta 5 or knight to Alpha 4 could be valid options, but bishop to Echo 7 is a perfectly fine move, and as a human being, one might even say that it is a better move than pushing directly, as the engines, they will not blunder. They can take risks because they will calculate correctly. But as human being, it is natural that you just think, okay, I sack the exchange on Charlie 3, I put pressure by developing the queen. I try to castle, and then I want to transfer my king's rook to the queen side. Then you have a pattern, and then it's very natural just to follow that pattern also. White played pawn to G5, pawn to G5. And black continued with castle's kingside, castle's kingside. So, mission completed, all black's pieces are developed. So, then Kasparov can continue focusing more on transferring forces to the queen side. White plays pawn to hotel 4, pawn to hotel 4. Yeah, a perfectly fine move. Yeah, the idea is, for example, to play. First of all, it can actually be good to protect G5, so that you, in some position, might play bishop delta 4. The bishop on delta 4 can be useful to have there because it protects Charlie 3. But keep in mind that black then might play pawn to echo 5 and boot the bishop away from that delta 4 square. Hotel 4, of course, also white plans hotel 5, and then start opening files with golf 6. That is a distinct possibility. Black goes on playing knight to alpha 4, knight to alpha 4, and white pushes, not pushes, retreats with the bishop to Charlie 1, bishop to Charlie 1. Probably white wants to, he gives back a pawn. If black would capture on Charlie 3, there would be an exchange of knights on Charlie 3. Black takes with the queen, and then bishop bravo 2 could be very handy. Then probably one can say that the material has actually equalized. Despite white has lost the Charlie 3 pawn, the bishop has got a very good square on bravo 2, both protecting the king, the white king, and is also takes parts in the attack down towards golf 7. So even though black nominally won a pawn on Charlie 3, if you look at how the pieces are placed, one can even argue that it is white who gained material by losing that pawn. So it's a bit contradictory way of expressing it, but the material, you have always to see the value of the pieces depends on where they are placed regarding to where the center of action is. So the white knight on echo 2 had a clearly passive function. The black knight on alpha 4, on the other hand, was aggressively placed. So if they are exchanged, and if the bishop can get onto the long diagonal on bravo 2, that is fine for white. Okay, I don't think Kasparov even ever considered taking on Charlie 3. He instead played knight echo 5, knight to echo 5. Another interesting way of playing, I will put another timestamp first. Another interesting way of playing those positions for black is actually to push the foxtrot pawn, even foxtrot 5. Because if white would play golf takes foxtrot 6 en passant, black can take bishop takes foxtrot 6. And then the black bishop would protect the king side and attack down towards Charlie 3. Especially now when white cannot respond with bishop delta 4. Maybe this way of playing would be the best for black, keeping black with an advantage of approximately half a pawn. But still, it is natural that a human player, who is not an engine, wants to follow the pattern of just maneuvering more pieces towards the queen side. But foxtrot 6 or foxtrot 5 can be a way both to improve the position of the dark squared bishop for black, getting more defense to the black king and more forces at the same time into the attack. So this is something to keep in mind. White played pawn to hotel 5, pawn to hotel 5 after black planted the knight on echo 5. Pawn to hotel 5. And here black plays delta 5. Delta 5. Something that we could have seen already earlier. It is for sure so that Kasparov had analyzed those tabias, those kinds of positions. So already when he sacrificed on Charlie 3, he had this maneuver, those maneuvers and this typical center push in mind already from the beginning after the exchange sacrifice. Yeah, delta 5 makes, how can I express the point of it? It is, of course, so that the bishop on Bravo 7 now takes more active part in the fight. Before then, it was more just a spectator. It can also be so that by putting pressure onto echo 4, white has to be more cautious launching his own attack on the king side, not to lose that important pawn and giving black's pieces also scope in an attack against the white center and king side. So pawn to delta 5. Of course, white doesn't want to take there. Pawn takes delta 5, bishop takes delta 5, then black suddenly would have even more forces into the attack. And I think white king would not live a long and sound life. White plays queen to hotel 2. Queen to hotel 2. That pins the knight on echo 5. But black can mobilize the bishop from echo 7 now by playing bishop delta 6. Bishop delta 6. So we can see another part of the delta 5 move, another idea behind it, is that now if the knight from echo 5 would move somewhere in the future, then the bishop can land on echo 5, guarding, protecting the king side and attacking on the queen side. Very much the same idea as was behind the pawn push to foxtrot 6 or foxtrot 5 that I mentioned. Bishop to delta 6 was played. White goes on with queen to hotel 3, queen to hotel 3. White, of course, doesn't want to stand in the discovery from the white knight. Now, black finds a way to open the files on the queen side. As mentioned before, you don't normally want to open a lot of files when you are the exchange down, but now your pieces are that well placed, so you can do it, and white will not be in time to transfer his rooks to the defense of the white king. So then it doesn't matter. That you often want to keep the position a bit more close when you are the exchange down is that you don't want to allow the opponent's extra rook to take an active part in the game. Black played knight takes delta 3. Knight takes delta 3. Very good move. Now we see that the position can soon open a bit. White plays Charlie takes delta 3. Charlie takes delta 3. And black now pushes to open more files. Playing Bravo 4. Bravo 4. And here we see yet another aspect of the delta 5 push. If delta 5 was not pushed, black could maybe respond playing pawn to Charlie 4, keeping the position as closed as possible. But now that is not a good idea, because black would simply take delta takes Charlie 4. So it is understandable that black wants to take more control over Charlie 4 before pushing Bravo 4. White plays Charlie takes Bravo 4. Charlie takes Bravo 4. And black goes on playing Rook Charlie 8. Rook to Charlie 8. Now we see that black has doubled already on the open Charlie 5 file. So moves like Queen to Charlie 2 check comes into consideration. So white taps the king to the corner, King Alpha 1. You don't want to have a Queen Charlie 2 with check, gaining a tempo, for example, also threatening the knight on Echo 2. It's better to move the king immediately. Black takes on Echo 4, Delta takes Echo 4. It's a good strategy to open more diagonals, to open the diagonal as much as possible for your light squared bishop. And there is another idea also with it that we will see in a second. White played Foxtrot takes Echo 4. Foxtrot takes Echo 4. And and you might ask, why not take with the Delta 4? Yeah, because if you do that, black can play Bishop to Echo 5 check. Bishop to Echo 5. And if you then play King Bravo 1, you will be mated by Queen Charlie 2 checkmate. If you instead think that you can put the knight on Delta 4, blocking the check, after Bishop Echo 5 check, play Knight Delta 4, it doesn't work either, because black can simply play Queen to Charlie 3 check then. The king moves, and then black grabs the knight on Delta 4 with the bishop. So you must keep the pawn on Delta 3 in order that you, if black plays Bishop to Echo 5 check, can block it by putting Delta 3, pushing that pawn to Delta 4. So that also explains black's next move. black played bishop takes echo 4. After foxtrot takes echo 4 from white, black took with the bishop. And yeah, then you have the explanation. Why putting the bishop on 3? White can actually capture on echo 4. But then we have the problem with the black diagonal. Black would play bishop to echo 5 check. And I think it would be game over. Yeah, we can see, yeah, if if white then played bishop knight to delta 4, let's see what you actually could do in such a position. Yeah, I think there are many moves that can win for black. Maybe, for example, queen to Charlie 4 would work with the idea of knight Charlie 3. That is a possibility. Queen to Charlie 4 threatens on delta 4. And you can also follow up with rook delta 8. So I think you would regain the piece on delta 4 with a continued decisive attack. So after bishop takes echo 4, white pushed on with golf 6. Pawn to golf 6. Yeah, this is logical. It is the aim of the white plan. We can see that white also hopes to be able to, by attacking foxtrot 7, weaken the echo 6 square, using that as a part of a future attack, but it's too slow. Black simply captures on hotel 1. Bishop takes hotel 1. And white took with the queen. Queen takes hotel 1. So now we see that black has finally regained the exchange with, yeah, I think it is equal material now. But white's pieces are poorly placed and the position is completely winning for black. Black played bishop takes bravo 4. Bishop takes bravo 4. So now we have also an open B file. Let's imagine that the rook comes to bravo 8 and the bishop then goes down to Charlie 3. That can easily lead to checkmate. White plays golf takes foxtrot 7 check. Golf takes foxtrot 7. And black wants to keep the king side as closed as possible, playing king to foxtrot 8. King to foxtrot 8. It's not important to grab a pawn on foxtrot 7 here with the king, for example. It would just make your king more exposed. So yeah, let white's foxtrot pawn be your shield, protecting you from the other white troops. White played queen to golf 2, queen to golf 2. And black played rook bravo 8, rook to bravo 8. And now we see the dangerous threats of bishop Charlie 3 check here, for example. Then the white king cannot go to the B file, the bravo file. Desperately, white played bishop bravo 2, bishop to bravo 2, attacking golf 7. Yeah, it is of course completely lost, so white just made something. Black played knight takes bravo 2. Knight takes bravo 2. And again, it is not any idea for white to capture on Bravo 2 with the king, because you come to the open Bravo file and black also controls the open Charlie file. One could even think of moves like after king takes Bravo 2, one could think of bishop alpha 3 check. If you then take with the king, there comes queen to alpha 5 checkmate. And if you go into the corner, king to alpha 1 instead after bishop to alpha 3. If yeah, let's see, how do we finish things off? Yeah, I think queen to Charlie 2. Why not? It's very difficult for white to achieve anything. So after knight takes Bravo 2, white played knight delta 4. Knight to delta 4. At least now threatening in knight takes echo 6. But unfortunately for white, there are too few soldiers in the white attack. Black just plays knight takes delta 1. Knight takes delta 1, capturing a rook. White plays knight takes echo 6 check. Knight takes echo 6. And black plays king takes foxtrot 7. King takes foxtrot 7. And here white had enough. It was better to resign in this position. Yeah, the material is you can see even if white can gain material here, the black kingside attack is the attack on the white king is really dangerous. So yeah, there's an end to the white attack, and black just carries through his own attack. So it is an extremely interesting example on what can happen if you sacrifice the exchange on Charlie 3. Even if you don't win a pawn or something, here we could see that although the position was approximately equal, 5-6 moves after the exchange sacrifice, it was so much more difficult for white to play. Black had a very clear-cut plan, moving the knight to alpha 4, to echo 5, pressing on the Charlie file, and yeah, then simply open the position eventually with delta 5 and Bravo 4. Whereas it is far more difficult. I think you have to be a good chess engine to keep the balance facing such a strong attack. So between human, I think that although the computer maybe says that black is just 0.4 pawns or something, in practice it would be far more, I would say. So this is an example of the exchange sacrifice. Then there is also here a kingside attack involved. That is what resembles the two first examples. but here it is more maneuvering strategical nature. In the prior examples, black won a pawn immediately and also had a more direct way to the white, to reaching to the white key. So, thank you so much for watching. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, like the video, and share it so that we can reach out to more people. Thank you so much.